Sairam everyone, welcome back to our political science class. Today we are going to begin with a new chapter number 3, constitutional design. Before beginning with this lesson, let's see the contents or the topic that we are going to cover under this chapter. We will see about democratic constitution in South Africa. Why do we need a constitution? That we are going to see. We are also going to cover making of Indian Constitution. This topic we have already done in 8th standard in your last class. So we are just going to elaborate on it in this lesson. Last topic that we are going to do is guiding values of the Indian Constitution. Okay, in the previous chapter, we studied about democracy, right? We studied that in a democracy, the rulers are not free, they're not free to do what they like. Or you can say they do not enjoy any power. In a democracy, there are certain basic rules. These rules, these basic rules, the citizens and also the government, they have to follow. What are these rules? These rules are nothing but constitution. These rules are called as constitution. Now, what is constitution? That also we all know, we all have studied about it. Then too, I'll just brush up. Constitution is nothing but a supreme law of a country containing fundamental rules governing the politics and the society in a country. It means that a constitution is a supreme law, it is a supreme law of the country that determines the right of citizens and the power of the government. It also determines how the government should function. Clear? Now, in this chapter, we will ask basic questions about constitutional design of a democracy. What are these basic questions? The first and foremost is, why do we need a constitution? How are this constitution drawn up? Who designs them? And in what way? Then what are the values that shape the constitution in democratic states? And say, once a constitution is accepted, can we make changes later as required by the changing conditions? Now, let's start with a recent instance of designing constitution, that is of South Africa. We will see what happened over there and how the people went about this task of designing their constitution. That is under the topic Democratic Constitution in South Africa. Okay, now just see on your monitor, he is Nelson Mandela. You all know about him. Nelson Mandela was tried for treason. Treason means the crime of betraying one's country. That is the biggest crime. So, and this was done by the white South African government. Now I'll explain it to you. Who are the whites? Okay, I'll explain it to you. Nelson Mandela, along with his 7 other leaders, okay, they were sentenced to lifetime imprisonment. That was in the year 1964 for daring to oppose the apartheid regime in their own country. Okay, 28 years of his life, Nelson Mandela, he spent in jail. 28 years. He was imprisoned in most dreaded prison that was in Robben Island. Can you see Robben Island? Yeah? Yes? And that is the prison where Nelson Mandela was kept. Okay, see the next slide. Okay. Talk about the struggle of the South African people. Struggle against apartheid. Okay, children, I'm sure you know what is apartheid. I'll tell you. The official policy of racial suppression and ill treatment of blacks followed by the government of South Africa, that was between the year 1948 and 1989, is called as apartheid. I'll explain it to you. Okay, apartheid was a name of a system of racial discrimination unique to South African people. This, see in the next slide, this system was imposed on the people of South Africa by the white European. It happened so in the 17th and 18th century. Okay, some European trading companies, they occupied South Africa forcibly using arms and force, just as they did with our country, just as they occupied our country, India. But the difference was between India and South Africa that large number of white European traders, they are called as white, that is the European traders, they settled down in South Africa and started ruling it. Means they became the local ruler. Yes, this system of apartheid divided the people, and this division was on the basis of their skin color. Okay, skin color. People were divided on the basis of their skin color. The local Africans were black in color, dark. Nearly 3/4 of the population belonged to this local black Africans. And this group of the local Africans were called as blacks. Beside this two, the whites and the blacks, okay, one more group was there, that is the mixed race. So we had whites were the European traders who became the local ruler, and the blacks who were the local people of Africa. Okay, now the third race, another group of people were the mixed race. Okay, and so they were called as colored. This group of people were called as colored. And people who migrated from India, okay, were also belong to this colored group. Okay, now can you see on your screen? They are the blacks, right? And here they are the whites. Children, these non-whites of Africa, South Africa, that is the local South African people, okay, they were treated as inferiors by these rulers, by this white government. Not only this, they did not have any voting rights. Okay, they were the local of that countries and they were deprived of all even voting rights, and they were only ill-treated. Okay, now this system, don't you think it was harsh? Yes, this system was very harsh and cruel. You know, many restrictions were imposed on these blacks. Okay, many restrictions were there on the blacks by this white people under the system apartheid. Okay, I'll give you an example of this. Okay, like these blacks, you know, they were not allowed to live in white areas where the white people lived. Not only this, they could work, this black people, okay, they could work in white areas only if they had permit. Otherwise, they were not allowed to work in white areas. Not only this, trains, then you see buses, taxis, hotels, hospitals, school, colleges, library, cinema halls, theaters, then you can say your swimming pool, beaches, okay, even public toilet, all were separate for the whites and the blacks. Blacks cannot share all these things with the whites. They were not allowed. This was called as segregation. Yes, yeah. Not only this, the blacks were not allowed to visit the churches where the whites worshipped. Okay, they were not using the same churches. Blacks, they were also not allowed to form association. Yes, they were not allowed to form association or even protest against this terrible treatment that was given to them, inferior treatment. Okay, both the groups, that is the blacks and the colored, that also included the Indians, they fought against this system since 1950. Now, can you see on your monitor? This is the flag of ANC. ANC is African National Congress. The African National Congress was the organization, okay? Now, this organization led the struggle against the white. This struggle were the policies of segregation. The struggle was nothing. They were the policies of segregation, that is dividing the people. This organization, children, included many people. Okay, many worker unions were included in this organization, and also the Communist Party also was included in this organization. Not only this, many sensitive whites, sensitive white, okay, European ruler, they joined this ANC, that is African National Congress, and they played a leading and also important role in this struggle. Getting? Yes. Several countries denounced apartheid. Denounce means declared it to be wrong or evil practice. But in spite of this opposition, the white government continued to rule. Yes, by detaining or say by torturing and even killing thousands of blacks. Okay, they continued ruling the blacks. And also, they not only killed the blacks, but they also killed colored people. Okay, they continued their rule. Now, let us talk about the struggle of Africans towards a new constitution. Okay, to frame a new constitution, a new government and constitution. Now, people protest. Okay, people's protest and struggle increased. No, not only in one or two parts, but all over South Africa. It became very difficult for the government, the white government. This government realized that it was difficult to suppress the people, and no longer they could keep the blacks under their rule. Okay? The whites were forced by this people, by these demonstrators, by these people who revolted. Okay? They were forced to change their policies. Many changes were seen in laws. Many changes were brought about. Discriminatory laws were repealed, cancelled. Ban which was imposed on political parties and restrictions on the media were lifted. These changes were brought about. And you know, children, Nelson Mandela, who was, given lifetime imprisonment, he walked out after 28 years as a free man. He was in prison for 28 years. And finally, at the midnight of 26th April, that was in the year 1994. So it is recent instance, right? The new national flag of the Republic of South Africa was unfurled. Can you see the flag? Very good. And this was the marking the newly born democracy in the world. This apartheid government came to an end, giving way for the new multiracial government. What do you mean by multiracial government? Why it was called multiracial? Because it included, this government included whites, blacks, and also colored. And that's the reason it was called as multiracial government. And Nelson Mandela became the first president of South Africa. Yeah. The black leaders, they appealed to fellow blacks, the locals, to forgive these whites for their atrocities they had committed, for their cruelty, to forgive them. Okay. Also said to the people to build a new nation, a new South Africa that will be based on equality for all races. Okay, for all races, and men and women too. Okay, also on democratic values. This government, this constitution will be based on democratic values. Also, okay, not only this, on social justice too. Okay, this will be based on democratic values, social justice and human rights. Now, the party that ruled through operations and brutal killings, which was this party? The whites, right? And the party that led the freedom struggle, which was this party? Blacks and colored. Okay, so they all sat together to draw up a common constitution. Okay, lots of discussions and debates took place. Finally, they came out with one of the world's, finest constitution. Finest constitution the world has ever held. Okay, world has ever had. Now, this constitution, this newly framed constitution of South Africa, gave its citizens rights. They decided that in search of solution to the problem, nobody should be excluded or treated as a demon. They agreed that everybody should become a part of the solution. Okay? Now, the South African Constitution, inspired democratic countries all over the world. Yes, a state that was denounced. Yes or no? Did I tell you this? Yes. A state that was denounced by entire world as the most undemocratic country is now seen as the model of democracy. And this was because of the determination of the people of South Africa to work together. Yes or no? To transform bitter experiences into the, binding glue of a rainbow nation. Made it possible. They forgave all the whites for whatever evil things they did with the blacks, and all came together unitedly. They made the nation. That's all with this lesson, children. This session, I'll say, we have not yet finished with the lesson. We will continue with this part, with this chapter in the next session. Till then, Take care. Thank you.